Welcome into a different type of video here. We kind of got a personal type of view here into the car. We're on our way up there to North Carolina to meet some friends. We're going to watch some NFL draft, and I want to kind of give over some of my overviews or my thoughts about the NFL draft, certain players and certain situations of this draft before the draft actually starts. So I just want to kind of dive into a little bit of the quarterbacks, a little bit of the wide receivers, and probably even a little bit of Brock Bowers. I'm getting a lot of questions about Brock Bowers in the comment section. So I just want to kind of go over first and foremost, Caleb Williams. We already know. I believe strongly that he'll be over there with the Bears, right? I think that's a lock and loaded situation. I fully expect the Bears with the first pick in the NFL draft to select Caleb Williams. I see no reason why they shouldn't take Caleb Williams. I think he's all but sure of just being locked in. And then the draft kind of really starts, right? There for a while, we saw the Commanders. They're really locked in on Jayden Daniels. Then we saw the Patriots really locked in. It's probably on Drake May. Then you see all this fluff coming out, about, Jayden Daniels maybe not liking the situation with the Commanders. The head brass kind of rubbed them the wrong way because when they had the meeting, they thought Jayden Daniels was going to be the only one there in the meeting, and there were several people that were invited for this meeting. So a lot of different things. Thinking about trading down and things of that nature. Some teams like the Vikings and the Raiders are being linked to being able to trade up. They're going to have to give up so much to be able to trade up to grab that kind of pick. But if you find your quarterback and you fall in love with a quarterback, I see nothing wrong with you trading up there and getting your guy. So a lot of trade talk here, especially with the Commanders, whether the Vikings or Raiders are going to take that shot and move up there and grab Daniels. And then with the Patriots as well, did the Patriots go ahead and grab Marvin Harrison Jr., that stud wide receiver? Do they stick with somebody like a Drake May or a J.J. McCarthy if Jay Daniels somehow falls? Do they just go with the wide receiver position with like a Malik Neighbors or a Rome Odunze, right? So a lot of questions that's going to be filling. I can't wait to see what the Patriots end up doing. There's a good chance they may even trade down a little bit. I know the one thing that the Patriots don't do in history is a draft, that they don't trade up, which they don't have to worry about that situation here being at the 3, but the Patriots always like to grab those more picks, so that's definitely in a situation right there, right? And then we move it kind of along. Where does J.J. McCarthy fit, right? A lot of times rumor with Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. He's getting a lot more traction here lately. You never really saw J.J. McCarthy being up here in these top echelon quarterbacks until here recently, when you really started seeing J.J. McCarthy being mocked into a lot of these upper tier type of guys, right? And a lot of people like Bo Nix as well. They say, Bo Nix is very comparable to like a Drew Brees type of quarterback with Sean Payton. Could that work very well? Possibly, right? And the one quarterback that's kind of being the lost afterthought is Michael Penix Jr. He's more slated as a second-round quarterback, but could he slot into the back end of the first round? Somebody really want to trade up and get ahead of the day 2 picks. That could be a possibility, right? So, you've got 6 quarterbacks that are sitting here that are capable of being, starters in the NFL from what I can see right now. And it's going to be interesting to see where these guys slot. As of right now, the teams that I can really see needing the quarterback, obviously the Bears, the Commanders, the Patriots, Giants, Vikings, Broncos, and Raiders are pretty much the teams that I'm looking for maybe coming up there and getting something, right? So with the Vikings, I've just mentioned them. Is Sam Darnold, is he going to be the key to victory, right? You got to think about it. When he came in there with the Jets, really didn't have a lot of stuff around him. Then he moved on to Carolina, didn't really have a lot around him. And then he actually performed with the 49ers quite a bit, right? When he was given the opportunity, there was weapons around him with the 49ers, and he actually did quite well. So get him on a Vikings team, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, he's got some things around him, right? Even Aaron Jones in the backfield now. Sam Darnold could succeed, right? And if you think Sam Darnold is your guy, where do you go at pick 11? Do they go in the defensive line? I think in my mocks, I've been mocking these guys for the defensive line because I think that's what they really need. But that's pretty much over for the quarterbacks. If we want to dip into the little bit of the wide receivers here, Marvin Harrison Jr., let's just not kid ourselves. He's by far probably the best prospect to come out in quite a few years. He's a big body, 6'4" wide receiver. Love watching this guy play. Love the sideline type of plays. He's able to make spectacular catches. Very secure in the ball. He's a great high point type of guy. Catches the touchdowns with ease. I think anybody that gets him is getting them an actual bona fide stud for years to come. I mean, we're talking about upper echelon, like a Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, upper echelon type of guy is what I see from Marvin Harrison Jr., right? You can almost think about maybe like a Calvin Johnson 2.0, not as big as Calvin Johnson, but a Calvin Johnson 2.0. But I really like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think a lot of people are slotting him to go to the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. I think that would actually be a really good pick. They really need a good number one wide receiver. Michael Wilson's there right now as the number one. He was a rookie last year. I really like him. But putting Marvin Harrison Jr. in here with Trey McBride at the tight end position, I think it's gonna be nice. That would be really, really nice. But like I said, there's a lot of rumors up there with the Patriots and such. They might take him if the Patriots trade down to somebody trade up who really needs a wide receiver and grabs Marvin Harrison Jr. We have to remember last year in the first round there were 6 trades. Right, there was quite a few trades last year. So, you know, I think they set a record for like 42 trades in the entire NFL draft. So teams are getting trade happy. So I'm excited. It's always an exciting time for the NFL draft. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to happen. You've got to stay at the edge of your seat, right? Because you just don't know what the situation is going to hold. I'm really, really excited to get up there, sit down, get my snacks ready. Matter of fact, you subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. I know we're in the middle of this video here, and leave a comment down below. This lets me know that you watched this video. Let me know, what is your favorite snack for draft day? Leave it down in the comments below. And let me know what you guys like. I like nachos. I think nachos is probably my best draft day food. Really enjoy it because you can put all types of stuff on it. So, really like that. But let's keep moving along here with the wide receiver position. And Malik Nabers is the next guy I want to talk about. Malik Nabers is somebody who, in many, many aspects, is actually quite closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. than what people would think. I think, don't get it wrong, you know, don't get what I'm not saying here. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the clear number one. Malik Nabers he's elite, right? And he can do it all, right? He's a little bit smaller than Marvin Harrison Jr., but he can get the job done. He's a good deep vertical threat, nice possession wide receiver, really reliable hands. I really like what I see from Malik Nabers, and I think he's going to do very, very well. A lot of people have him mocked going maybe to the Giants at 6. It's a strong possibility. Malik Nabers is somebody, let's just say if he went to the Giants and they ended up going forward with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones isn't a bad quarterback, right? Daniel Jones overall, he needs to stay out of injury trouble. I think that's his major problem. But let's just face it, man, you have to call a spade a spade. The Giants are not surrounding this guy with any type of weapons. What's the biggest weapon that they've gotten for him recently? With Darren Waller, Mr. I want to retire maybe, or little Fleur kind of dropped off a little bit. So they just need a little bit of help. Got rid of Saquon Barkley. Now they got Devin Singletary in there. So the Giants could definitely need a true number one wide receiver. Wandale Robinson's not it. Jalen Hyatt's not it. So I think they're good rotational pieces, or that you need in an offense, but not a true number one. Malik Nabers could definitely give them that. Now the next guy, we're talking about Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. He's somebody that is rumored really to go, or mocked, should I say, to the Falcons quite a bit from what I can see. I think I might even have him rumored going to the Falcons myself. So if he ends up going to the Falcons on the opposite side of Drake London, I think that would be great. I mean, Kyle Pitts at the tight end position, Bijan Robinson at the running back position, then the newly acquired Kirk Cousins. Boy, he would have a field day throwing to all those weapons. I would like to see that. But Rome Odunze, another good, solid wide receiver. I know a lot of people have Rome Odunze and Malik Nabers kind of interchangeable. Me, for one, I don't have them interchangeable. I think Malik Nabers is the clear number 2. But somebody who I think is extremely close to Odunze, and sometimes, in my mind, could easily even pass Odunze, that's Brian Thomas Jr. He's the other wide receiver that I saw out of that he played with LSU with Malik Nabers. Right? And if it wasn't for Malik Nabers on the team, I think a lot more people would be talking about Brian Thomas Jr. If you guys seen some videos that I did previously, I talk highly about Brian Thomas Jr., and there's a reason for that. I mean, the dude is absolutely phenomenal. Led the LSU Tigers last season with 17 touchdowns. He was right behind Malik Nabers by only like 0.2 or 0.3 yards per catch. Right, so Brian Thomas Jr. can make it happen. 6'4" wide receiver, big body type of guy. I think he could be a true number one wide receiver. And I think in the latest mock, I actually had Brian Thomas Jr. going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now I know T. Higgins recently kind of re-upped his trade bet. He wants to definitely move on because they're not giving him the contract that he wants. You know, T. Higgins, I think he would love to stay in Cincinnati if he got the bag. I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be able to give him the bag. They've got to be able to pay, you know, the Jamar Chases of the world. They've already let go of Joe Mixon, got in Zach Moss now at the running back position. So I think that if they brought in a young talent like Brian Thomas Jr. on a rookie contract, I think that would be very, very good. I don't think you're going to lose too much. As far as the wide receivers go, I look at Brian Thomas Jr. and T. Higgins to be very similar in skill set. So I do like that situation. Troy Franklin, he was my third favorite wide receiver going into the draft process as I started studying the film. And as the offseason goes and I'm diving into more, and then the combines and all the pro days, I have Troy Franklin dropping a little bit lower onto my list. He's probably around the 5th wide receiver that I like now. Brian Thomas Jr. definitely, he kind of won up Troy Franklin in that aspect. But a nice lanky wide receiver out of Oregon. I think he needs to put on a little bit of weight to be more physical with these cornerbacks in the NFL. But Troy Franklin, he's got all the skill sets. He's got what it is, you know. So I'm curious to see where he goes. Probably somewhere later on in the draft. Maybe you're looking for maybe like the Ravens. Who knows? Where he can go. There's a lot of good places that I think I could like to see Troy Franklin end up. So next thing I want to talk about is probably Adonai Mitchell. He would probably be the next person on my list. Wide receiver out of Texas. Really shown out at the combine. He showed his speed. I think it was like a 4.340, right, a little bit slower than Xavier Worthy, who broke that record with a 4.2240. So Adonai Mitchell, really, he's a bigger wide receiver than Worthy, but he can get the job done. He did really, really well in Georgia before he switched over there to Texas, and he showed out. He even played good at Georgia, and he played good, definitely good at Texas. So I'm curious to see where he goes. I do expect him also to be in the first round. Man, this is another one of my favorites. There are so many wide receivers that I really, really enjoy watching, and I want to see have success in the NFL. Guys, if you need a wide receiver in Dynasty, this may be the year that you grab wide receiver. There's going to be plenty of wide receivers as we look back and say, yeah, this draft class was great. Next guy I want to talk about, I guess, would be Xavier Worthy, somebody that I had at the end of the first round, and then after the combine. Just his 4.2240 alone will allow people to kind of draft up a little bit for Xavier Worthy and really go take this guy just based on his speed alone. And if anything's shown us about speed, like a Ross or something like that, like the Raiders always take, you know, it's not always about speed. That's not what makes an elite wide receiver. You know, there's a lot more things like route running and just the ball catching ability, ball tracking ability, high point the ball. There's a lot of things that go involved in actually making a good wide receiver, not just speed. But I think overall speed's going to kill, and I think Xavier Worthy has solidified himself. I used to have a mock at the Chiefs at the very last pick of the NFL draft. I don't think he lasts that long this time, just based on the amount of speed this guy has. He's going to be drafted kind of early. So I do like that situation for Xavier Worthy. He'll be drafted by another team. Yet again, another wide receiver in the first round. And then here's 3 guys that I believe that either could be at the very, very end of the first, possibly early second. But these next 3 guys that I'm talking about, I think they all have an opportunity and a chance to make it into the first round. The first guy's going to be Xavier Legette, the big wide receiver out of South Carolina. His physicality alone, just pulling up on defensive back in college. Man, I want to see, because I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to do that with quite a bit of cornerbacks in the NFL. I mean, he is just that physical, and it's exciting to see. It's exciting to watch. I think overall he is a very good wide receiver, and I do believe that he's going to make a name for himself in the NFL. Maybe a lot of people don't know in rookie drafts he's probably not going to go, maybe not even in the first 2 rounds, so we'll see how that goes. Next guy, Keon Coleman. I know a lot of people have him stupid high on their draft, like the 5th person, or 5th best, 4th best. Keon Coleman is kind of a tale of 2 tapes for me, right? He does those spectacular catches, right? Jumping out of the gym, you know, jumping over people, making those catches, but he's not as consistent as I'd want him to be, and his route running isn't as polished as I would like it to be. I still think that he could be a very good wide receiver in the NFL based on where he goes. I think I actually had a mock go into the Bills at one point, and then I had a mock go into the Ravens at one point. So either one of these guys, especially probably the Ravens, They've already got somebody like Zay Flowers there, that smaller wide receiver who's a field stretcher, kind of in and out guy. They get a more big body type of wide receiver like Keon Coleman. I think that could do wonders for them. So about the last wide receiver we're going to go over today, that's going to be Ladd McConkey, right? He might be sleeping a lot of people, and it could even fall in the laps of, let's say, the Kansas City Chiefs at the end of the first round. Ladd McConkey is somebody who can get in and out of his breaks very, very quickly. A nice, stellar wide receiver for me. I think if it wasn't for Brock Bowers, he would have probably got a lot more attention there at Georgia. I think overall, Ladd McConkey could be a very, very solid fantasy wide receiver. I'm excited to see where he goes. Maybe even like a Roman Wilson out of Michigan. But wide receivers like this are very interesting, especially if you're in a PPR league in fantasy football, because they can produce a lot of points. We think of things like Julian Edelman or Danny Amendola or some of these type of wide receivers back in the day, who maybe wasn't your elite, wide receivers, but someone who was able to be, a wide receiver 3 or a flex consistently week in and week out. That's somebody that I see Ladd McConkey could be in, right? And the last guy, probably I want to go over in my first thoughts right prior to the NFL draft as you guys are watching this. It's going to be Brock Bowers. I know a lot of you in the comment section have been asking me about Brock Bowers and if you guys should be taking him at the 104, the 105, things like that, right? I tell people all the time, you guys can see the responses that I have to these people is, I want to see where he goes, right? If he goes to the Chargers at 5, I think the Chargers at 5 could be a phenomenal play. There's no pass catching ability there right now. Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer don't really have a tight end to speak of that I'm high on. So somebody like Brock Bowers going there could get a ton of targets. And we're looking at maybe like a Dalton Kincaid type of season if he ends up with the Chargers. Now, maybe to the Jets a little bit later, things like that. Maybe the Colts, right? I've seen some mocks with him going to the Colts as well. But all these other positions, they're not exciting for me. Even with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, right? Rodgers, let's just face it, he's gonna be locked in on Garrett Wilson. And what Garrett Wilson doesn't get, it's gonna be Mike Williams. And what they two don't get, it's just going to be Breece Hall running the ball. There's not going to be room for Brock Bowers, especially a rookie. Aaron Rodgers wants proven players to catch the football that he can trust, and he's not going to trust a rookie, not knowing if it's even going to be his last season or last couple seasons. So, not extremely high on Brock Bowers. I would not take Brock Bowers with a 104 or a 105. If he goes to the Chargers, 106. I think could be really, really good. I think Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, those two quarterbacks should go. I think Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Romo Dunze should all go ahead of Brock Bowers. And then where my line is Brock Bowers / Brian Thomas Jr. And that's all going to land on basically landing spot in the NFL draft for me, right? Who has the better situation? Who's going to have the better opportunities to make fantasy plays, right? That's what you want to look at for the draft. Don't get caught up on the name. Oh, he was great in college, he must be great in the NFL. It doesn't quite work that way, right? You've got to have the opportunity, you've got to have the skill set, right? Early on in fantasy football, you're looking for opportunity. Ultimately, skill set will win out. So, if they're uber talented, they're going to end up getting on the field sooner rather than later. But in fantasy football, especially Dynasty, you want to take advantage of these guys who are, 22, 23 years old and not have to wait until they're 25 years old to break out, right? But just a quick video, guys, in my vehicle driving up to North Carolina, meeting some friends for the NFL draft. Want to kind of give you guys my thoughts. I'm gonna try to get this posted as soon as I possibly can. Tomorrow, be on the lookout. We're gonna have a first round video reaction, kind of a little podcast. Me and a friend's gonna do that. And then on Saturday, be on the lookout for a second/third round reaction, kind of going over the reaction of the fantasy football relevant players from the second and the third round. But guys, like I said earlier in the video, hit the subscribe button. We are so close to 800 subscribers. I can smell it. I think we're doing a really good job of putting out a ton of content for you guys to absorb, to best help you prepare for your fantasy football drafts. Guys, it is draft day today. And I left a comment down below. If you guys know, let me know, what is your favorite snack for draft day? I want to really know what you guys are eating. Like I said earlier, mine is nachos. But I'll tell you what, man, we're going to sign out on here. We're going to continue up driving. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. We'll see you guys next time.